Turn the microphone on.
No, it's off.
Okay, Miss Tood. I'm just double checking because sometimes
I don't need to be double checked, darling.
sometimes you flop.
I've never flopped.
Sometimes.
It's so crazy. I've done everything right in my life up
Sometimes you
until
forgot.
now.
Remember that time you forgot you put the carrots in the freezer?
You've got to get over that.
I will never.
How many years ago was that?
Not enough.
It was a million. Hi everybody, welcome back to 2 Game Ads. It's Matt Palmer.
And it's Matt Steele.
And today, we're having another festive round of underrated faves. And you know why? It's because so many of our faves are underrated.
They really are.
And I feel like each one deserves their time to shine. So Matt Steele,
Okay.
Start us off. What's your first underrated fave?
So our first underrated fave.
Your first, not ours.
Okay, well, my first underrated fave that I'm going to mention today,
Yes.
I was really upset when I did our first underrated faves video because I completely forgot to mention her.
Wow, so
And
you underrated her as well.
I underrated her as well, and I can't believe I did that. I'm so sorry.
I don't think she'll ever forgive you.
She will.
I don't think so.
Regina Hall will forgive me. So, Regina Hall, ever since I saw Scary Movie,
Oh my god.
in 2000, I believe it came out, just the comedic genius that was Regina Hall. The fact that she, I mean, it's obvious why she did not get Oscar buzz. But if I was an Oscar voter, I would be voting for Regina Hall because that movie theater scene is classic. She is so brilliant in the Scary Movie movies. It's absurd. Like, it's absurd.
I've never seen a scary movie.
Are you serious?
No, yeah,
I did not know this about
No,
you.
never.
Regina Hall, I'm telling you, is so funny and so great, and I've loved her for years and years and years and years. And then ever since this year, she came out in the, what was it? Was it the comedy that grossed the highest of this year?
It may have been.
It might have been. It was a huge hit, and she was starring in it. And she wasn't like the funny friend or whatever. No, she was the damn lead. She is America's sweetheart. She's coming back for all of us. Oh, I love Regina Hall so much.
She's also stunningly
She's
beautiful.
beautiful, and she's like, I'm not gonna say she's old, because she's not like old, but like, she's older than she looks.
Yeah.
And Matt Steele, Regina Hall stan.
All right, the more you know.
I know.
I mean, I knew that, but you guys didn't, so I'll play with you. My first underrated fave is an album that came out, I want to say 2006, 7, or 8. Very big first album, very big singles. People always mix her up with Michelle Branch, whatever.
Yeah.
Great times. Vanessa Carlton's Harmonium is such a brilliant sophomore album that was criminally underrated, starting with the iconic, the beautiful, the fucking storybook of a first single in White Houses. White Houses is the rare song that is structure free, has no real chorus. In White Houses. That's the chorus. And it's just like iconic. And I feel like this is one of those songs that I feel like everyone knows. It's a song that's more popular than its chart position portrays. It peaked in like the 90s on the Hot 100 at the time.
Did it really?
This is what I'm saying.
I feel like everyone knew White
That's what I'm
Houses.
saying. And it like did not do well at all. She can tell a story like nobody's business. She's talking about her adolescence, growing up, and like her first time she got her period. It's like a whole freaking novel in a song, and it's beautiful. Beyond White Houses, it's just Harmonium has such a sound all its own. It's all so cohesive, but every song has its own specific personality. Like there's a song called Annie, which I believe is about maybe a Make-A-Wish kid, but like a young child that she knows who's a fan of her music who ends up passing away. She has a song called Private Radio, which is very up-tempo, very driving. There's a song entitled C'est La Vie, and you know I'm not one for a blatantly minor, just to be minor song, but C'est La Vie is just, it just wraps you up. It's like a song that you just want to hear in a coffee house. It's just the way that the melody and the chord progression just like lilts downward as it goes. And it ends on a very somber note. You know I love an album that ends with a somber note. There's a song called The Wreckage, which is literally her imagining herself dying in a car crash and how sweet it would be. And it's just like, oh yes, have we not all been in that car crash with her, The Wreckage? She takes you on journeys that not every pop star is going to take you. It's, you know, it's like going through Alice in Wonderland. Sometimes it's scary, but it's beautiful.
You kind of sold me on this album.
I'm telling you. I have been in elevators with Vanessa Carlton twice, and I have never gotten the courage to say, I love Harmonium.
Why? I bet she would love it.
I know, because it's like not her like most popular album by far, obviously.
Because I guarantee you when people see her, they're just like, hey Vanessa.
I mean, they do that and they're like, oh my god, I love Michelle Branch. Like, can I get your autograph?
Well, my next underrated fave is a television show.
What?
I
You
know.
television?
I know, it's a television show from the past. though. It's not a current television show. This television show shaped who I am as a person, I feel. It's a very, I don't want to say sappy show, but it definitely had a little bit of sap to it, but it was genuinely funny, genuinely hysterical, but just had enough of touching moments.
I don't know what.
And it was a little known show called The Torkelsons.
Is it live action? Is it animated?
It's live action, animated.
I don't know. Torkelson sounds animated.
It's a live action show about a family, and they live in Pyramid Corners, Oklahoma, and it's about a struggling single mother. They live in this beautiful house, and she's really struggling with money. She has 5 kids.
Ooh,
and
too many kids.
And the main character is the daughter, Dorothy Jane. She's the oldest. She kind of narrates the show because she's constantly talking to the man in the moon out of her window, and she's like, the man in the moon is sort of like her psychiatrist.
What year are we?
We are, oh my god, I want to say 92, like 91,
wow,
92.
Okay.
This show was so well written as a family show. So, you know, there's those sort of sugary moments in there, but it's so well done. It's so moving. It really, really dug deep into what it's like struggling and raising kids by yourself. And you know, I was raised by a single mother. It hit very close to home. And just the sacrifices that she would make for them, and just the sort of embarrassing moments that she would have as a struggling single mother. And Connie Ray, who played Millicent Torkelson, the mother, just gives probably, I want to say, top 3 favorite television performances
Oh my goodness.
of all time. She is so brilliant as the mother, and it's so upsetting because it's not on DVD or anything.
I was gonna say, how do you rewatch this?
You rewatch it by watching it on YouTube, and it's all like super low quality.
That sucks.
But like, oh my god, it holds up.
My second underrated fave is a podcast. It's fairly new, so maybe it's just finding its footing, but I feel like not enough people are talking about it. And it is a podcast entitled Homophilia. And it is hosted by Dave Holmes of I Want to Be a VJ fame, of course. He got second place to Jesse Camp in that MTV VJ contest in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And he's gone on to become a very famous gay writer. He just wrote a book called Party of One. He wrote a book, or he's also a writer on Esquire.com and like a big Twitter person, and just like a great guy, great host, very knowledgeable, especially about music. His co-host is named Matt McConkey. He's like a screenwriter in LA, and it's just like a lovely look. They bring on an LGBT person every week to interview, and it's just like they've brought on Lena Waithe and freaking Justin Simeon, who's like, you know, the creator of Dear White People. It's just like getting a look at LGBT people in a way that's not all about like, oh, let's talk about your coming out. It's like more like what pop culture you grew up on, and like what's the dating situation, and like how did you get to where you are. And
So it's kind of like an episode of 2 Gay Matt.
exactly, but about important people.
Yeah.
The hosts themselves are so dynamic and wonderful, and you want to learn more about them. And I feel like there are obviously a billion podcasts out in the world, and so it's hard to really make a name for oneself. But I feel like with Dave Holmes and Matt McConkey is also a frequent guest on Bitch Sesh, which I've talked about. It's a very popular podcast. More people should be talking about homophilia, because it's like, I feel like we as gay people have only certain amounts of things coming at us that are specifically for us, and to have a podcast that's for us and so interesting and such a good format and so well put together with such lovely people, it's like we all need to be listening. We all need to be listening and paying attention and like making this a big podcast, because it's really great and something that I feel like we can learn a lot from and have a lot of entertainment, get a lot out of it. So every Friday we have a new episode with a great person that you want to hear about, and I think we should listen to it.
So I was gonna do a musical,
Okay.
but then I realized, no, we're running out of time.
Okay.
Because the Oscar nominations are coming out soon.
Okay.
My favorite performance of the year
Oh, sweetie.
was by an actress
This is over.
named Hong Chow in the movie Downsizing.
How is the movie Downsizing?
The movie Downsizing was a critical flop,
And how'd you feel about it?
and it was, you know, Downsizing had its problems, okay? I'm telling you, all of you, do not sleep on Hong Chau's performance in Downsizing.
What is her character? You talked about this performance to
Okay.
me so often, but I don't know what she does. I don't know what all she does in the movie at all.
So Downsizing, the trailers for Downsizing are lies. Because it's literally showing you just the first 20 minutes of Downsizing. It's like, yes, there are people and they get small to preserve the population of the Earth, whatever, because the Earth is dying, whatever. But then the rest of the movie follows Matt Damon trying to find his footing in this small little world. He comes across a Vietnamese rebel she lost her leg and she was arrested in Vietnam and downsized against her will. She spent her life as a downsized person, sort of catering to the poor people in this downsized community. And when I tell you, she just walks away with that movie like I've never seen before.
Is it a comedic performance?
It's hysterical, and then suddenly just like, she has these moments that are just so moving. Everything she does, every line is just so hysterical and just so lived in. Because the movie was such a critical flop, you just know people aren't gonna watch it.
Yeah.
And she got nominated for Golden Globe, she got nominated for a SAG. I'm afraid she's not gonna get nominated for an Oscar because I feel like Oscar voters are gonna watch the first like 45 minutes of the movie and turn it off because she doesn't appear until like an hour into the movie. And it's just, if you're an Oscar voter and you are watching Two Gay Mats, I don't know why you'd be watching that, but for the love of God, watch your screener of Downsizing, fast forward an hour in, and get to Hong Chau, and please nominate her for Best Supporting Actress in a feature film. I will stan her forever. She is a talent. That performance is so damn good. The best performance of the year.
Has she done anything before this?
I have no idea what the hell she's done before this, but I'm gonna go back and watch it.
I have a third. I switched it just now.
Okay.
So I landed on an album by one Miss Brandy Norwood. So obviously Brandy is not underrated. She's spoken of as the vocal Bible. She has giant hits from like Never Say Never and from her self-titled debut album. After her commercial peak, her primary collaborator up until that point was Rodney Darkchild Jerkins, who did Say My Name for Destiny's Child. He did It's Not Right But It's Okay for Whitney.
He also did Spice Girls Forever, that album.
Right, so he has some flops. The Brandy sound was kind of synonymous with the Rodney Jerkins sound for a long time. So when Brandy set out to do Aphrodisiac and her whole album was done with Timbaland, it was like, oh, what will this sound like? Is this going to work? Maybe Brandy needs Rodney Jerkins to like be Brandy. And the result of Aphrodisiac is truly a triumph. It's just an exploration of sounds and music from creative people from like two different worlds of pop R&B music. Brandy's stuff before was so like, it was becoming so electro-based, and she was kind of pushing the envelope as far as like what production and like layering of vocals could do. And obviously Timbaland's stuff with like Aaliyah was all more vibey and more drum and percussive instrumentation, and the idea of them coming together and kind of taking from one another a little bit and like finding a middle ground and building this world. It's kind of the best of both worlds together, and creating Aphrodisiac was such a masterpiece. And when I say it's underrated, I mean it was not as commercially successful as it should have been. The single choices were awful. There's just so many great songs I want to talk about. There's Aphrodisiac, the title track, I just love. It's just like, it begins with an acapella like, ha 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 ha, and it's like he sampled her voice and is playing it as an instrument. I'm sure she did sing that in one kind of way, but it feels like a keyboard pattern, and like the vocal arrangements all fall over each other, and it's just like a waterfall of vocal, and it's so sexy. She has I Tried, which is just such a ballad. It's like a Cry Me a River with a better song and a better vocalist singing it. There's Sadiddy, which is basically all percussive instrumentation, and her just kind of get me bodying over it, and it's just like, ah, Brandy, I'm so moved. And then by the second half of the album, you get these lush ballads and like just vocals from her that just match the instrumentation, because it's all mellow and it all melts into each other, but like not in a way that it's like, oh, I don't know what's happening, but in a way that it just is, it's like a calming, soothing ocean of vocal and percussion that just can like drift you out to sea. It's not only commercially underrated, it's also underrated by Brandy. I feel like anytime a Brandy album doesn't do as well as it does, she always comes out and says something negative about it, and I hate that. I'm sorry, I love Brandy. I think that is awful. Because it's like, you know, these are some of your fans' favorite albums of yours. Like, don't come out and say, this wasn't for me. Of course, Mariah always hints at, like, not liking Hero or something. Or, like, not liking Music Box. But, like, Aphrodisiac's actually great. Like, I get why Mariah doesn't like Music Box. Aphrodisiac, the only reason you don't like it is because it didn't do well. And it didn't do well not because of it's not being good. It's because you put out a dumb single and, like, you know, the stars didn't align. Sometimes great music gets ignored and it just happens. Brandy, you should defend Aphrodisiac because you went on, took a risk, and worked with somebody you've never worked with before and created a masterwork. The album is so exciting and so unique, and like I felt laid the groundwork for Future Sex Love Sounds and the Nelly Furtado stuff, like the Timbaland resurgence that happened in the later part of the 2000s, I think is in no small part due to Aphrodisiac. Everyone needs to go listen to Aphrodisiac. It's on Spotify and it's a lovely album.
I guess even Brandy needs to listen to it.
She does! And remind herself why
I want to listen to it. I want to hear that waterfall.
Oof.
I want to hear those.
It is great.
Is it like Beyonce's like?
No, they all, it's like they're on top of each other. It's much faster.
Oh, I love. Is it like a cacophony?
It's a bit of a cacophony.
Oh, I love a cacophony.
Bit of a cacophony.
It's like a Sweetie Todd moment.
Sure. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please tell us in the comments below what underrated faves you have. What do you think about Vanessa Carlton and Hong Chow and Brandy and all of our underrated faves that we mentioned?
Vote for Hong Chow.
And follow us on Twitter at Matt Palmer Music.
And it's Matt Steele.
And follow us both at 2Gay Matt on Instagram, Facebook, all our socials, and we'll be back soon with another brand new 2Gay Matt.
Bye guys.
Bye everybody.